Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I'm going to give you, as best as I possibly can, a few pointers or tips on how to spot the Antichrist. Because if you go back to what Terry Bennett was told, he was told, now again, let me just give you a disclaimer, he does not say that the years 22 to 2028 is the tribulation. However, when you put it all together, there's no other way you conclude that. In other words, like he's talking about when there's a world religion rises, and when does that rise? And the answer is 7-year tribulation. And he's talking about when they start killing people because they won't accept the Antichrist. When does that happen? In the tribulation. When does the Antichrist rise? There's many other things. I'm not prepared to go through that. But the point is, he does not say from 2022 to 2028 is the tribulation. But everything he says indicates that it is. Now, aside from whether he was really hearing from God or not, because I've not met the man, I cannot guarantee he's hearing from God. Maybe even if I met him, I couldn't guarantee it. But I will say, most everything that he says does sound in line with the scriptures and what the modern prophets have been saying. So for the point of this broadcast, for just a moment, let's assume that what he's saying is correct. And he's saying that the tribulation will be from the years 2022 to 2028. Furthermore, on 4/28/15, I'm looking at the copy of the text of the email, and it says, and he confirms, that the angel Gabriel told him that the fall of America would be in the year 2021. Well, a couple of things make me feel like he might be right, but please hear me, please quote me correctly. I have not, and nor will I say that the fall of America will be in the year 2021. I have said that it will be 400 years since the Mayflower Compact was signed, which was signed November the 11th of 1620. Add 400 years, that comes up to 2020. And I believe that after 2020, there will be our 400 years, and that at that point, God's contract with America, I believe, well, I can't show you this in writing, he's not told me audibly, I believe that to be true. In other words, his contract with America will be up after 400 years, and it makes sense to me that sometime after 400 years or after 2020 would make perfect sense to me that that would be a time for America to fall. Furthermore, it's also 40 years from 1980. 1980 was the year that God first spoke the judgment on America to Dimitri Duduman. So when you have 400 years concluding in 2020, and you have 40 years, which is the year of judgment or the number of judgment, concluding in 2020, and then Terry comes along and says America falls in 2021, you put it together. What does that sound like to you? Sound to me like that's a very good point to be watching. Again, can't say for certain, but a very good point. Now, let's talk about a couple of things that's going to help us to spot this guy, the Antichrist, so that we will not be part of it. Now, let me go to Revelation 17. I already talked about part of this, but I've got to get to the point here. Verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon, the Great. Now, Babylon means a nation of confusion. That's what Babylon means. Mystery means that this is not the name of the nation, and it says the Great. Well, Donald Trump hung the Great on us with his slogan for his campaign, which says, Make America Great Again. So I think that the scriptures picked up on that ever since then, great, or that name, that word great, has been hung on America as sort of a nickname. Mystery, Babylon, the Great. The mother of harlots means that this is a nation, in other words, the nation has to do this, at one time had to be Christian, but has left being Christian and has gone after other gods. She's confused. That describes America too. An abomination to the earth. An abomination is a really, really filthy thing to God. Matter of fact, I looked it up, and the exact translation in most cases for abomination, sorry, I don't mean to be crude here, but it's as in to pass gas. as when a human passes gas. In other words, it's really, really a bad smell, and it's a bad smell in the nostrils of God. Now, verse 6. Again, we're trying to get to what to watch for to spot the Antichrist. And I saw the woman, and think, when I say woman here, think, yes, Catholics, think Vatican, but also think America Christians, okay? I saw the woman. This is an organized religion that is going to kill a lot of saints. I saw the woman drunken with the blood of saints and with the blood of martyrs of Jesus. Here it is. And when I saw her, I wondered. That's the big word I want you to keep in your mind for this broadcast. That is a really, really big word. And this is, again, I've taught Revelation for years, made a DVD on Revelation, which is very good. I'd recommend you get it, Revelation verse by verse. However, I'm not going to be saying things in this new DVD that I already put in the other one. This is new information, new things I've seen in the same old book, 2,000-year-old book. I wondered with great admiration. What does the word wonder mean? We're going to come back to that. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell upon the earth, here it is again, listen. And they that dwell upon the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life, slain from the foundation of the earth, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Hold on. What's it saying? That's really, really, really big. Let me back up. The beast that thou sawest, and I'm not going to try to go into explaining was and is not and that sort of thing right now, because if I do that, then we'll lose the point of this whole broadcast. To understand Revelation, I'd recommend you go get the DVD from us, Revelation verse by verse. You need to know that. Really, as a matter of fact, I'm going to recommend that before you get the new one on Revelations of Revelation. Anyway, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell upon the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life. And what does that mean, wonder? Because here we got, I wondered with great admiration. Well, that's really important. It says, those that whose names are not written in the book of life shall wonder. It goes on to say, and when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. In other words, when the world sees this Antichrist for the first time, he is going to be mesmerizing. I don't know what it is about it. Daniel says that his look is more stout than his fellows. Daniel also says that he has a fierce countenance. In the DVD that Ken Peters made called I Saw the Tribulation, he said he saw the Antichrist, and he said he saw him wearing a turban and he had olive-colored skin, but he said there was something different about him. Well, now, a lot of folks, including me, believe that genetically he is going to be the exact opposite of Jesus. So we know genetically he is not going to be full 100% human, because Jesus was not full 100% human. What? Wait a minute. Now think about this. Jesus was half God, because the Holy Spirit overshadowed Mary. Okay? He was half God and half Mary. Right? And when Ron White said he found the Ark of the Covenant and found the blood of what he believed to be Jesus on the one side of the Ark of the Covenant, and he had that reconstituted, means that they added water to it, it was still alive. The somatids in the blood were still alive. You could still see them moving, even though it's almost 2,000 years old. Now, the interesting part is he noted that normally in blood, you have 2 sets of chromosomes. You have 23 from the man, 23 from the woman, and then you have X or Y that determines whether it is male or female. Only this blood only had 1 set of chromosomes. It only had Mary's set of chromosomes because the other side of the chromosomes was God. It makes sense to me that since the devil does everything that God does, but he does it to the opposite, it makes sense to me that the Antichrist will be half devil and half human. Now, I don't think that there's going to be just 23 sets of chromosomes. I think it'll have 46 sets or maybe more than that. But Daniel 2:43, I believe it is, says that, and he shall mingle his seed with men. And we also see in Revelation where it says that a horrible, a malignant sore break out upon people that have the mark of the beast. Put all that together, get to the bottom line here. Apparently, this guy Antichrist that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit, that goeth into perdition, apparently he is not 100% human. Apparently he is half man and half devil or half Satan. Somehow, but the point I'm trying to make is he's not going to look like us. That's the first thing you want to look for. But whatever he looks like, he is amazing to a lot of people. Because it says here, and they wondered after the beast. When they behold the beast that was and is not. In other words, let me read that again. It's so powerful. And they that dwell upon the earth shall wonder. Okay, try to think of being amazed. Think of being mesmerized. Think of, wow. And it's going to be in a good way, okay? They that dwell upon the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the earth, when they behold the beast that was and is not. In other words, when we see the Antichrist, for the very first time, when the world sees this guy, they are going to be awestruck, mesmerized. They're going to say, wow, have you seen this guy? I don't know what he's going to look like, but I can tell you this, he's not going to look normal. He's not going to look human. Now, let's go to Revelation 13:3. And I saw one of his heads, as that means the Antichrist, as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. Now, that does not, please understand, that does not say the Antichrist is necessarily wounded in the head, because he's talking about that there were 7 heads, meaning 7 continents divided into 10 global regions. Each one of those was blaspheming God. It means one of the leaders. Does not necessarily say that he's wounded in the head. It's saying he's one of the leaders of the world. And then in another place, he's wounded by a sword and did live, it says. So, matter of fact, let's go to that, Revelation 13:3, and here's that word wonder again. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. That's talking about the false prophet. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying them that dwell on the earth, here it is, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. So, this Antichrist guy, it says that he's wounded by a sword, but that does not necessarily mean the kind of sword we think of, because there's other places where it says, and his arrows were as a mighty man, and they don't miss their mark. Not an exact quote, but meaning missiles, though. So sometimes the Bible uses ancient words to describe modern things. Today, if we shoot a missile, we call it a missile. We don't call it an arrow. But the Bible calls it an arrow, but today it's meaning missile, all right? So when it says that he is wounded by the sword and did live, it does not necessarily mean a sword. However, the Bible uses the word sword. And, of course, swords are beheading people during that time, so it may very well be that it is a sword. But I'm just saying, don't necessarily think that you got to look for a leader that's wounded in the head. Wrong. Don't necessarily think you got to look for a leader that is wounded by a sword. Wrong. Look for a leader that is wounded unto death, but his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. Says, who's like unto the beast? Who can make war with this guy? A guy that can come back from dead, you see. So we got to look at this word wondered. All the world wondered after a beast. Whoa! Have you seen this guy? Man! Have you seen what he looks? See, they're going to be talking like that. Image of the beast. And they would cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, obviously, when they start doing that, there's not going to be any question. But we're trying to spot him before the rest of the crowd does. Now let's jump to Revelation 17. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of saints and with the blood of martyrs. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. This is John. This is John the Revelator, a prophet of God. That is, by the way, going to be one of the Maybe that's another broadcast. But I found out who the two witnesses are. I know who the two witnesses are. I'm not going to tell you. We'll maybe get into that another broadcast. Maybe I'll say you need to get the DVD, but I know who the two witnesses are. All right. Anyway, went back to the point. I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman. So this Antichrist is so mesmerizing, so awesome, that even John the Revelator, when he sees him, he wondered with great admiration, and the angel rebuked him. Wherefore didst thou marvel? I was saying that's another word for when he's saying wonder. It says he's marveled. He's marvelous. He was impressed. He was blown away by this guy. Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and the beast that carrieth her, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. In other words, I'll tell you what this guy looks like. I wondered with great admiration. So this word wonder, this Antichrist God that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit and goeth into perdition, even he is the 7th, and he is of the 8th. You remember, the Bible says that there's 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space, meaning that this guy, in my opinion, and it would take me a broadcast or two to explain this, in my opinion, the Antichrist is going to be a reincarnated version of Nebuchadnezzar. Bible says he ascendeth out of the bottomless pit. Where's the bottomless pit? What's in the bottomless pit? Answer, departed souls. Okay? He says he is the 8th and he's of the 7, meaning one of them came back from life. Daniel 11 says, and there are 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. So how do you get 4 out of 3? And how do you get 8 out of 7? Answer, one of them came back to life. He ascendeth out of the bottomless pit, and goeth into perdition. That means, in other words, as into hell. So this guy, I mean, here's what we do. We watch for a leader, probably in Europe. Probably he's going to be a son of Ishmael, though he will not be Muslim. I believe his parents, his family members will all be Muslim, but he will not regard any God. For he sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. You see, if somebody says, well, I worship Allah, or if I worship Jesus, then he can't turn around and say, well, I'm God. Okay, if he worships some other God, he's not God. See, so he's not going to worship any God. He doesn't regard any God, Daniel says. He instead worships the God of forces, meaning military might. That's what he really thinks is wonderful. Now, we watch for this guy to rise out of Europe, in my opinion, and I may put this on the DVD, Daniel verse by verse, and I showed all the way through it, the Bible pretty much tells you a small area that you can watch for as far as a geographical area of where the Antichrist comes from. And that's complicated for me that's a whole other broadcast there too. Again, get the DVD verse by verse and I'll show you. But there's a small area. Essentially the area is northeast Iraq, Syria, or Turkey, kind of southern Turkey, a whole large portion of Turkey. He's going to come from that area. But I believe he'll be bloodline of Ishmael, but he will not be Muslim. I think his parents will be Muslim. I think he will be following down through the weed seed, not the seed of the woman, not the seed of the promise, but the seed of the curse. He'll be following down through Ishmael, down through Esau, down through that bloodline there. I think he will probably have a lot of appearance of like an Arab, but the Bible says his look is more stout than his fellows, and he's a man of fierce countenance, as in he wonders. It says all the world will wonder after the beast. Everybody going to be amazed. This guy's going to blow them away just by his appearance. I don't know what it is, but he is going to be some kind of a guy. So that's one of the things you look for. You look for something out of the European area, something probably from the Muslim family, from the Arab family, though he doesn't have to be, but probably something out of Iraq, Syria, or Turkey, up in that area. Why? Well, because in Revelation chapter 2, verse 13, it says, I know thy works and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is. Okay, did you catch that? Where Satan's seat is, what is that? I mean, that's his home, you might say, on earth. And what is he talking about? He's talking to the church in Pergamos, and Pergamos was located in Turkey. So that makes Turkey a very high probability. Let me finish the sentence. And thou holdest fast my name and hast not denied my faith, even in those days where Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you where Satan dwelleth. So we have 2 times, same verse, says where Satan's seat is, where Satan dwelleth, and what happened? Antipas was his faithful martyr. Someone was slain in the city of Pergamos, which is in Turkey, in 96 AD when John got this whole book of Revelation. So if Satan's seat and where Satan dwells in those days was in Pergamos, and in those days they were having faithful martyrs, doesn't that make sense that Turkey should be on the list? Absolutely. So we're going to watch for somebody coming out of Iraq, Syria, Turkey. He's probably going to be a little Arab looking, but he's going to be something that, I mean, everybody on earth can say, man, this guy's something. And it's not just what he looks like either, because another place, Revelation 13 says, and he was given a mouth speaking great things. And that great things, that's not good things. That's actually bad things. But he is allowed to continue for 42 months. Now, right now, you don't see people attacking Jesus. I mean, they're not blaspheming openly any place, Jesus, and saying really bad things. Now, they kind of hit around at it here or there. But there's no one actually openly blaspheming Jesus. But this guy is going to do exactly that. Revelation 13 says he's given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Here it is. And power is given him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God. That's another thing you watch for. This guy is going to openly say, this Jesus guy is blah, blah, blah. He's going to open his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. When you see a world leader stand up that looks sharp, everybody's impressed with this guy. And the false prophet says, oh, he the man. Yeah, that's him. He's God. That's it. When you see somebody say that, and this guy is openly saying, oh, this Jesus, and his name is, and his tabernacle, I wouldn't say anything bad about Jesus, but bad. Jesus, bad. His temple, bad. His dwelling in heaven, bad. When you see that, you point the finger and you say, that's the man. That's the Antichrist. And I'm going to lose my head, but I'm not going to fall down and worship that guy. I will not eat, but I'm not going to fall down and worship that guy. Instead, I'm going to be one of those faithful martyrs. Instead, I'm going to get the highest crown. I'm going to get those white robes, fine linen, which is the righteousness of the saints, but I'm not buckling. Then it goes on to say in Revelation 13, it was given to him to make war with the saints. Who's that? Not America. America's already been taken out before the New World Order comes on. Who you think that is? And by the way, when it says war, I don't necessarily think that's a military war. That means he just said he's opening his mouth in blasphemy, blaspheming the name of Jesus, his tabernacle, them to dwell. It's a verbal war. This Antichrist, he is saying so many bad things about Jesus, so many bad things about Christians. And guess what? Most folks on the earth buy into it. They wondered with great admiration, who is like unto the beast? Who can make war with him? I mean, a guy that you can't kill. Look at him. Look how awesome he is. That's him. Everybody got to worship him. And then we got the other cat over here, the false prophet, saying, oh yeah, he's God. That's him. Go ahead. Worship him. Everybody got to worship him. Then the image stands up and says, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship the beast. Then the false prophet stands up, and this is the guy that exercises all the power of the first beast, meaning the Antichrist, and he causes the earth, everybody on the earth, and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, that's the Antichrist, whose deadly wound was healed, and he doeth great wonders, so that he makes fire come down out of heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and he deceive all of them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the first beast, saying to them, that's you guys, that dwell on the earth, Everybody got to make an image of this beast. And then he had power to give life unto the image, and that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That's when this image of the beast, this man-made whatever that doesn't really have a soul, this stands up and he says, he causes all, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. That just about takes in everybody. Everybody receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, so if he had the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. 666. There it is. So the false prophet saying, yeah, man, he's the man. He's God in the flesh. We finally have God on earth. He's sitting on the Ark of the Covenant. He's saying everybody got to stop worshiping every other God. I'm the only one. The false prophet saying, yep, he's the one. Everybody got to worship him. And whole world, everybody whose name is not written in the book of life shall wonder after the beast when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, when you see some guy that is good, he's slick, he's got all the answers, you better run. Run to your Bible, fall on your knees, cry out to God, and say, Lord, give me strength. Give me strength that in that moment, I will not deny you. In that moment. But I'm not going to deny you. Give me strength, Lord. Don't let me fall. Don't let me fall. Look, brothers and sisters, you got to be making that decision now. Time to make that decision. It's not when you're standing in front of the firing squad. It's not when you're standing in front of somebody holding a big long sword and you got your hands tied behind you, you're down on your knees. I wonder if I'll deny Jesus. Time to make that decision right now. Let me suggest you sit down with your husband, with your wife, your kids. You have a serious conversation. You pull that Bible out. You read Revelation chapter 13. You read it. You read it. You discuss it. You have a little family meeting. I just want to let you know. Nobody here is going to deny Jesus. We might starve to death. But now I've also heard of visions and dreams of people that during that time, they sat down and they prayed, thanked the Lord for food in front of that empty plate. When they opened their eyes, the plate was full of food. Look, if he can take care of 3 million people out in the wilderness for 40 years, feed them out of thin air, if he can bring water out of a rock, and that's not up from the bottom of the rock, that's up just out of thin air, if he can feed people out of thin air, water them out of thin air, he can take care of us. The question is, do we believe in him? The question is, do we have Jesus in our heart? Are we living for him? Is he number one, or is the job number one? Or is the wife or the kids, are they number one? One night, I was going to sleep, and I said, Lord, and I thought about it. I thought about it long and hard before I said it. Lord, I just want to say that I love you, and it wasn't easy to say, more than my wife, more than my children, more than life itself. And that night was the first night I heard the audible voice of God speak to me. And he said, I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seeds sown by Billy Graham. I believe that is the reason God began to speak to me. That's the reason he's going to give me many souls. See, brothers and sisters, you got to sell out now. You got to sell out now. You got to have a conversation with your whole family. You got to quit being shy. Pull that Bible out. Have a Bible study. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers. And send some gifts and donations. We need it. God bless you. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. Brian Melvin did an excellent job making this DVD called Hell in a Box and From Hell to Heaven. Excellent talk. I've heard about 30 some odd talks of people that have passed on, some to heaven, some to hell. This is one of the best ones. This held my attention all the way through. Now look, just as archaeology can be really powerful to win people to Christ, and you need that. You need this DVD in your hands to show people this will convince people. I'm saying this will convince the skeptic to get saved very powerfully. You want this DVD and this book, Hell in a Box and Hell to Heaven, and the book, A Land Unknown, Hell's Dominion. DVD gift of 30, book gift of 20, both for a gift of 45, prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. The Hell gift offer. Keep them out of it with the Hell gift offer. prophecyclub.com, 785-266-1112.